Brothers and sisters, welcome to the three-time award-winning audio podcast channel, Duke Loves Rasslin. We are the exclusive home of the Devon the Duke Podcast featuring WWE Hall of Famer Devon Dudley. And of course, our flagship interview show, Duke Loves Rasslin. We're bringing you the informative, hilarious, and enjoyable episodes each and every week. Subscribe, like, and share with everyone you know so you don't miss a single episode. Duke Loves Rasslin, available wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify. That's right.
Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never felt this great. Tables, ladders, chairs, they tell it all. From the highest highs to the lowest fall. Great and glory tales from the ring. Every chant, every cheer they'll bring. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never felt this great.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to the three-time award-winning podcast, Devon and the Duke, hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Rasslin, and of course, the Hall of Famer, the five-time Hall of Famer, the man who had the audacity to try to get me hemmed up and turned into a human pretzel last episode. And he's got a lot of explaining to do. Brother Devon Dudley. What's going on there, Devon?
Hey, listen, I know you're not flexible. You're not the most flexible person in the world. So I figured that she would be able to help you out and maybe be able to maneuver you like she did T.I. and his wife. As far as I'm concerned, everybody needs a little flexibility. And if that is the case, then my friend, you're going to need it, especially with Cody and CM Punk. Because I know those bones haven't been working in a long time. So, you know, especially during the winter time when you're sitting up there getting that snow out of your driveway and I'm sitting in my pool area barbecuing. I'm just letting you know what it is.
Man,
I'm trying to help you out.
I thought after all these years, you were the baby face. I thought that you were the baby face, you were the nice guy, you were the gentleman, all of that. And now I'm starting to find out there's a little bit more to it than that. You're one of those tweeners, okay? Every now and then you do your little dastardly moves, like trying to get another wrestler to hem me up. I don't understand it. That sweet girl, Asia, she by the end of that conversation, she asked me what my address is so she can come kick my you know what. I don't understand how you put me in that spot, bro.
I didn't. I think you put yourself in that spot.
Uh-huh.
You're the one that called Cody Rhodes what you called him. You're the one that called CM Punk what you called him. And then you tried to backtrack and try to put Oba on me and then try to say that I was in cahoots with Jey Uso when Jay was fighting Oba, that I was somehow or another going to get somebody to interfere or they were going to interfere against Brock so Brock could win. See, you started all of this. See, you're like those heels in professional wrestling. You say all of this stuff, you do all of this stuff, and then you forget what caused all the stuff.
What's
See
causing
how that
all
works?
this?
Exactly. Exactly. See
I'll
how I
tell you,
broke
boy.
that down?
You've been watching too much Matlock. You think you some kind of lawyer now, huh? Is that what's going on
No,
there?
you know what I watched that I love the most? Special Victims Unit.
Oh boy, yeah,
Um,
that's me. That's me.
oh, I love that. I love that. I love that show. I think Olivia and her cast, the crew, was it? Oh God, nah, Law and Order. To me, that's the best one because remember, there's like 3 or 4 different ones. But that supporting cast, that I love that supporting cast. They're excellent. Ice Cube, love that. Love the district attorney that's on there. The district attorney, and I forget his name, and I always mess it up. So if you watch Law and Order Special Victims Unit, you know who I'm talking about. He reminds me so much, his mannerisms, how he moves and things like that, of Paul Heyman
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
way he talks. He
Yeah,
reminds me of Paul Heyman. And I told
yeah,
Paul that, and Paul told me that somebody else told him that.
yeah. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. You know, but when it comes to special victims unit, that's me. I am a special victim unit because every time I look up, you're trying to get me jacked up, and I don't understand what that's all about, man. You're supposed to protect me. You ain't supposed to put me in harm's way.
Well, you know what? I got to agree with you. You are a special victim, but you're special. I agree with that 110%. Listen, you and I can't agree on a lot of things, but we agree on that one. You're very
Okay.
special.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And listen, I have to give an apology. Uh, got myself in a little bit of trouble because I started talking about how beautiful certain people in the world are, and I got yelled at for it. So I apologize to whomever is out there listening who I have to apologize to. I will never point out beauty on this show ever again. So, Devon, I hope you're ready. You're not getting any compliments from me. I'm not going to talk about how beautiful those marks on your forehead are, or how beautiful you wrestle. You're not getting anything from me ever again because I got in trouble for pointing out beauty last week. Okay?
Listen, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Everybody can feel whatever they want to feel. Doesn't mean that the person that said it with malicious intent or anything like that, or meant it in any other way. So for those that look at it as being that way, maybe investigate a little more before jumping to conclusions, and then maybe you'll get the answer that you're looking for, and maybe you'll realize that it's not as bad as you thought it was.
That's right.
But and that's what I got to say about that.
That's right.
Listen, God is a great God. God is a great God, and He basically knows the truth. He knows what's right, and if there was anything that was taken out of content, God will handle it. Give everything to God because God knows what's best.
That's right. That's right. So as far as I'm concerned, everybody out there is ugly. All right, all of you are ugly because I don't want no problems. All right, I'll just leave it at that. That's right. Speaking of ugly, your good friend Triple H then got himself in trouble, and
Oh boy.
I'm gonna put you on the spot now because one of the things that you've been accused of is being a Triple H supporter. You've been accused of running interference and having his back even when he's wrong. And I'm going to put you on the spot now, Devon. We're going to see where you're at on this one. Okay.
Hmm.
On Raw this week, there wasn't a single women's match. And it's following a pattern that keeps going up and down for this guy. Ever since Triple H took over the book, he has a habit of limiting how many women's matches are happening on Raw and SmackDown. We know that on NXT, they feature the most women's wrestling of any pro wrestling TV show that's not just a women's promotion like WoW, but out of TNA, out of AEW, out of WWE, NXT always gets it right. They always make sure they feature the women. Women are often in the main event in NXT, which is great. But your boy, who I call New Coke, who I say could never be Vince McMahon, I don't care how hard he tries, for him to not feature a single women's match this week, and I've called him out for years over doing this kind of nonsense. Let's see where you're at on this, Devon. How do you explain not featuring a single women's match on a 3 hour broadcast?
That's a lot of hours.
So,
Again, that's a lot of hours. I can't say anything too much about it because I look at it this way. I don't know what happened and what went on in that production meeting. I don't know when the show was written, why. My thing is we have to look in perspective of what was their agenda moving forward to the next week or to the next show. Why wasn't there? There's something behind the scenes that's telling us why we didn't have that. I don't know what it is. Listen, I'm not defending, but all I'm saying is until we know why that was, maybe we shouldn't speculate until we find out why. I think that's the thing. And You know, I think people don't put in perspective that when Vince was in charge, Vince was in charge. No shareholders could tell him what to do. He might have had some sponsors that said, listen, we don't want this or we don't want that, but never in the history that I know of professional wrestling where corporate pretty much said what they wanted on TV and what they didn't. And you get that now with TKO. So my thing is, we don't know. Maybe it was a TKO thing. I don't know. I can't really say. But again, when he makes decisions, it's not just him. It's not like when Vince did it. It's not just him. TKO is involved as well. And the WWE and the WWE is just, they're not. It's not the Vince regime anymore. It's the TKO regime, is what I like to say it is, because they're the ones deciding everything. There are people higher up than Trump. If you honestly think Trump is making the decisions, I don't believe it. I'm not a big supporter of the regime, but I also know that he's not the end all or be all. I also know that I don't condone a lot of the things that are being said and some of the decisions that are being made that I feel that is in his power, but he's not the one that makes a lot of maybe decisions. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I believe that there is some sort of Illuminati out there or something that actually does things like that and tells them what to do. Um, just like in the WWE, Vince, before he sold the company, he basically pretty much ran it, did whatever he wanted to do. Even with the sponsorships that he had, like I said, he basically still did what he wanted to do. They didn't control that. There might have been certain people that might have said, hey, if this person goes on TV, we're pulling our sponsorships. So he might have pulled them for that reason, but they never controlled or dictate the show like that. Nowadays, TKO dictates the show. They decide who they want on there and who they don't want on there. And apparently what storylines, from my understanding, this is from my understanding, from what I'm hearing, they pretty much decide what storylines are approved and what storylines are. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But that's what I'm hearing. And if that is the case, then you can't really fault Triple H. There's something behind why there isn't the women on a 3 hour show. That doesn't make any sense to me. But there's something behind that. I can guarantee that.
Well, I gotta pin you down on this a little bit because you have a unique insight, not only as a wrestler, but you were a producer. So you were in the production meetings. You got to see and hear and participate in the decision making. When it comes to something as specific as the amount of women's matches and even women's storylines happening compared to everything else, I'm not saying you would have been conscious of it, but during your time sitting in production meetings and giving your opinion and being an agent, because you did a lot of agenting for the women in particular, what did you notice when it comes to stuff like that? Was there a conscious push to not feature the women? Maybe they felt the women weren't going to generate as much interest, or was this a consistent happy accident that
No,
that keeps
women
going on and on?
No, women on TV have always shown to be the biggest ratings, even during the Attitude Era, when you had The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. The women outperformed them in terms of ratings because sex sells back then, and all people wanted not the sex sells now. It still does this day more now than it did back in the Attitude Era. But the women are now looked upon not just so much on their beauty, but now on what they do in that ring and the athlete. Oh, we got the superstars. Scott. I like Jax. Her her um her character in the ring. It's tough. It's rugged. It's in your face. When she walks down the aisle, you know it's a woman you can't mess with because she'll probably kill you. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss. You know, um, the list goes on and on. Liv. Rhea. All of these women. Um, I just feel that there's something behind the scenes that, and I'm sure it was noticed. Believe me when I say it, I'm sure it was noticed because I'm sure, and I don't remember this happening. what I produced. But I do remember there might have been one women's match on the show that might have been very short, and that was it. But that was just the way it went because of where they were trying to go and what they were doing. Remember, this is still a male-dominated sport, so the women are just now getting their just due in this era, where the women didn't get that before. They were looked at as secondary citizens. I would always say it was like that because they didn't think that the women could draw. When Mercedes and all of these guys were main eventing Monday Night Raw at the end, that was unheard of. You didn't have women closing out the show. Now you do. You have women closing out WrestleMania. Bianca Belair, Mercedes did a great job, and again, the roster, you know, a, a fantastic array of women that are talented, that have beauty, and that the fans love. If you can't tell me that they didn't take that in consideration when they decided that that was not going to be the case. Something had to have triggered to basically say, no, we can't have that right now. We just have to bite the bullet on it. So that's how I feel.
Interesting. Interesting perspective there, and that's good insight because it happens too often for us not to feel like, to a certain extent, it's not on purpose. Of course, it's on purpose, and it could just be as simple, like you said. I mean, you got men dominating everything. Maybe they're gatekeeping to a certain degree, whether conscious or unconscious. You know,
I
so
mean,
but it's unfortunate.
it is unfortunate, but something could have happened again to where maybe when they were writing the show and where they're going with storylines, there wasn't any room. Something happened. We just don't know. I don't think it was deliberately like that.
Yeah, but Devon, I gotta push back on that. How come it never happens that because of the storylines, there's no men booked on an episode of Raw, on a 3 hour episode? You ever notice that it's always the women or it's always black male wrestlers or something like that? How is it that these marginalized groups, traditionally marginalized, traditionally treated like second class citizens, how come it's always consistently something like that where they get the short end of the stick? Whereas, the men, especially the white men, are prominently featured every single solitary week without question.
Listen, I still will say this. It's a male dominated sport. But, forgive me, but I've seen things. It's also still the good old boys network. You still
Mm.
have a lot of that going around. So if you want to use it in the terms of minority sense, that's still very, very rampant. Not as much as it was in the 80s. Because remember, when the 80s were around, we had just gotten over Jim Crow laws and all of that in the South and the racism that went on. It wasn't even 30, 40 years ago from the time it happened in the 60s to the 80s. And then going into the 90s, we would just start to get recognition. So there's a lot of stuff that still goes on that's still rampant. And people are like, oh, it's no racism. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. You still got people flopping off at the mouth. But now what's going on is they're getting reprimanded for it. It is. It's everywhere, though. It's not just in pro wrestling, it's everywhere. You know, it's sad that in 2026 we're still dealing with that, but that's what it is, and that's what we have to deal with. So, you know, we deal with it, and we basically try to get through it. There should be light shed on it, absolutely, because maybe one day we could, just basically, get past it. But it's hard. It really is hard. Unless people band together and stop it, then yes, I can see that. But again, I don't think it was a malicious intent for the WWE not to have women on there. I just think something might have went down. Um, we can't really say what it is yet until we know why. Maybe we'll know, maybe we won't know. I don't know. But I wouldn't really blame Hunter. Again, there are more high ups than Hunter. And with that being said, we got to realize that he's not the end all, the be all. It's not like when Vince was in that era. Vince basically was the end all to be all, and everybody knew it. So that's why it's hard to think that it was maliciously done to me. Because with everything that's going on in the world, it's not just being done in the WWE, but it's being done everywhere. When you look at Twitter, you look at X. I still say Twitter. You look at X, and you see some of these videos on there with the police brutality and all of that. It's still running rampant. It's still going strong, and a lot of these cops are still getting away with it. Some of them, they might say, yeah, they're going to be reprimanded, they're going to be fired, and this and that, and then 2 weeks later, they're back on the job again. So you just never know, man. We got to be very conscientious of their decision making and what they're doing, because it's not just them. Believe me when I say it, it's not just them.
I mean, I hear that, and you're absolutely right. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to diminish what you're saying, because there is a broader societal issue of racism and sexism that no matter how much we advance, it's like it keeps rearing its ugly head back around, and it's disgusting.
I'm sorry, you would think, like I said, in 2026, that we wouldn't have to worry about it, but unfortunately, we do.
Yeah, yeah, but this is why we have to talk about it. I'll tell you, Devon, I get accused often of being too pro WWE. It's like, oh, you're always defending them, you're always sticking up for them. And what people don't realize is that, number one, I've grown up watching wrestling my entire life, and I'm in the WWE territory in Boston, so we always had WWE around here. That's number one.
Absolutely.
So I've grown up with the company, and I've
Well, let me
invested a
ask
lot
you.
of time. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Because I know you guys were like New York. Did you guys get NWA too?
I did, but like I said before, I had cable. We were one of the first families in our block that had cable, so I was able to get all wrestling. I got the NWA. I got down in Texas, so of course WCCW. We had ICW here in Boston, so I always got them. And then I got Bill Watts' territory, and I was able to see some stuff from Japan and things like that, because it was cheap. Wrestling was cheap to put on cable, and they just needed programming. So it was always easy to find pro wrestling in the early '80s for me.
Hello.
Um, I was blessed with that advantage, quite frankly. But I say all that to say this: before this show, during my 10 plus years of podcasting, I have always called out WWE on what I feel are things they need to improve upon. And to their credit, they have improved in a lot of ways. But that doesn't mean that you take the foot off the gas. And that's why I bring this subject up now, because when it comes to advocating for women's wrestling, I have been completely consistent and uncompromising on that. And I'm going to tell you right now, you've given this kind of insight where maybe it's not a Triple H decision in this case. And I think that's fair. So I'll just say this to everybody at TKO. And fellas, this is Duke talking. It's not Devon. This is Duke talking. So you hold me accountable for saying this. You jellyback humanoid bastards. Under no circumstances should you ever fix your face to believe that you can have a 3-hour broadcast and not feature any women's wrestling. It is embarrassing. It is a complete violation of your Be a Star campaign. There is nothing equal opportunity employer about it. It is sexist. And in 2026, it is just downright wrong. And if that means that I'm not going to get media access and all that other fool, I don't care. I'm telling you out right now, TKO, Puppet Masters, there better not ever be another episode of Raw where there's no women's wrestling. Simple as that.
And again, I'll say this again, Duke. I don't know. There's a possibility that TKO was involved, and there's a possibility that they weren't. I don't know. We don't know why this was. The only people
Well, then
that
it's
know are the
Triple
people that
H. Then it's Triple H
right,
if it ain't TKO, right?
right. But the
It,
only people that know what happened is the people that wrote the show and that are in charge of creative. They know the real reason why there were no women on the show. But I find that very odd because ever since I've been watching wrestling, from the Attitude Era, um, from the Attitude Era down, there's always been women wrestling. So I find it a little odd that there wasn't. So again,
I
I
just
would
don't
like to
like
know
it.
the truth.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's rotten. And I think that there's no excuse for it. They can say, well, so and so wasn't feeling well, and that one was injured, and that one was sick. Those excuses don't fall. We know that there's always somebody extra backstage. Now, I know some idiot out there is going to say, well, Duke, you don't just put on women's matches just to put on women's matches. And you know what my response to that is? Why not? Why not? You should lead with your values. When I watch DDA, right? DDA, your company, Devon. You got your school, you're putting on your events. Guess what? There are women's matches. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. There are people of color, there's LGBTQ plus, there's white people, there's fans in the audience, young and old. Everybody gets to be entertained. If Devon Dudley can do that, WWE, you got 3 hours. You couldn't put on one women's match? Don't get me started. Ridiculous.
Don, you mean to tell me there
Absolutely
were no
ridiculous.
women on the show whatsoever, not even the backstage?
They had Maxine Dupree do a segment where she was talking. That's not a wrestling match.
To Otis, correct?
Yeah, yeah, but that's not a wrestling match. We want to see women wrestle. We want to see them further what they have going on. Because here's the reality of it: out of sight, out of mind. You can literally justify not paying somebody more when their contract negotiation comes up because they haven't been featured or we don't have anything for you. But they're not being featured and you don't have anything for them because you're not actually doing it. You're the one controlling all of that.
Now,
So
did
even
this
that's a
go
bunch of
viral?
baloney. Yeah, bro, people are talking about it. People are talking about it. Absolutely. You know,
Mm.
but this is a consistent problem that I always bring up every time it happens because here's the way, and that's where my, life outside of this whole wrestling world works. I understand the trickle down effect of when you discriminate against one group of people, you're just going to move on to the next one. So we got to call it out right away. And that's what it is, WWE. It's discrimination. And you can't tell me any differently, Triple H. I'm talking to you directly, brother. You can't tell me anything differently. When you don't feature a women's match, but you got all these men flipping and flopping and screwing off, that's discrimination. And I'm going to say what it is. It needs to stop because that's Tony Khan's stuff. AEW does that crap every week. They find excuses for not featuring the women. And that's why those women don't get paid as much as the men. And that's why those women can't advance. WWE, that ain't that kind of party over there, Jack. Look at NXT. You know, I'm looking at that group that they have now, Fatal Influence, with that JC Jane and those girls. Those girls are fantastic. That's probably the best female stable I've ever seen, quite frankly, Devon. And
In
they're
a in
coming
a
up from
while
NXT.
since well
Yeah,
since Mandy Rose and her group at that one
yeah,
time
that's
in
that's right.
NXT.
Since Mandy Rose and her group, which this is actually an offshoot of that. This group is just the
Right,
latest
because
version of that.
one of them was
JC,
JC.
yeah,
She was in there with Mandy, if
yep,
I'm not mistaken.
she sure was. And ironically, she was at the bottom and then she worked her way up.
I
So it's
really,
kind of
really
funny how
liked
that
that.
worked.
Yeah, I really liked those three when they were together because they really brought a lot of heat.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and they were
Absolutely.
very entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was sad. It was
Absolutely.
sad to see them break up, but nothing stays forever.
But I'm glad that JC was able to eventually become the leader and have her own incarnation because for my money, she's as good as any woman on the planet right now. And I've been watching her since down in the Indies down there in Florida. So I know what she's
Mhm.
capable of. She's fantastic. She's absolutely fantastic. But my point is NXT produces that kind of talent consistently. You know what I mean? WWE on the main roster has no excuse for not featuring women when you got Fatal Influence. Give me a break. Give me a break. I'm gonna get off this subject now. I know I've been going on, but it irritates me, bro. It really irritates me when I see stuff like that. 3 hours and you can't have one women's match. Triple H, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You're a father of girls. You're a girl dad when it's convenient, right? And you have the audacity to not feature a women's match. This is Duke talking. This ain't Devon. Be mad at me. But I'm telling you, brother, I've been telling you for over 10 years. I'm on your ass every time this happens. I will shame the devil until you become a saint. Simple as that. Moving on here. I'm sorry, Devon. I didn't mean to get all worked up now. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But there are people that claim that I am pro WWE and that I'm not with anybody else because of what have you. Listen, I'm not pro anybody. If if people pay me, they pay me. If they do good things, they do. I'll say if they do bad things, and I think it's bad, then I'm gonna say something. You know.
Yeah, we
But I,
found that out. We found that out because of that YouTube. I'm getting heat over that. You going on
push you
YouTube
too.
talking about people botches and all that stuff.
Oh wait a minute, how'd you get heat for that?
Because they're saying, "Hey, they're thinking that you said it on my show." I said, "No, Devon going on his own YouTube and getting into trouble. Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't
Wait a
put
minute.
that even on me."
Wait, did I go viral over that or something?
You went viral a couple of times over it. You talked about Jay Uso botching. Uh, there was another one. It was one of the ladies where you talked about her botching, and everybody was talking about it. I said, "Oh Lord, this guy."
Yeah, no. What it was the botch. What happened was 3D. Jay and Jimmy did 3D, and what
Yeah,
happened was when they did it, because I remember explaining to Jay and Jimmy, that when you do 3D, make sure because they wanted to know how to really do it. How me and Bubba did it for so long, and the way we made it look. I told him, I said, when the guy comes off that rope, make sure that they come to you with their legs together, not apart. And when they put their hands on your shoulders, they need to post up straight. Don't lean forward, don't lean back. And then, Jimmy will come in and cut. And so what happened was it was WrestleMania and Jimmy only grabbed one leg. I don't know if he couldn't get the other leg, but he only grabbed one leg. And when he grabbed it, Jay Paul kind of was like, he wasn't stable. And then when he went to go post on the shoulders, he kind of went downward. So it kind of messed it up a little bit. So it wasn't Jay, it was a cohesive unit that pretty much had botched that. And Jimmy wasn't able to get there in time to bring him down like Bubba would do. And as far as the girls, if I'm not, it was two segments with the girls. One was when one of the girls are putting the other girl through the table, and it reminded me of Spike when La Resistance went to go put Spike through two tables on the outside and completely missed the table. Where the girls, she got thrown, she went through one and barely, her head just barely missed the second one, which would have been real bad. And from
mhm.
my understanding, she did get busted open from that because I guess it did catch her, but it could have been a lot worse than what she had received. Um, I think that was it. But if they went viral over that, because I was trying to break down how to do 3D, then okay,
Listen,
I
all I have
laugh.
to say is you're Devon. That's all I gotta say.
That's it. That's it. We heard
You're
one
Devon.
superstar say that once.
Unbelievable. But yeah, you over here going viral talking about people's botches. I'm like, oh Lord. Listen, folks, I don't put that kind of content on here because I know that Devon can fight anybody who has a problem, but I can't. So I can't afford for these wrestlers to want to choke me out because they can't do it to him. All right. So
And it wasn't. And the thing about it was, it wasn't even a bot. Wasn't even talking about really a botch. It was
yeah.
just a mistiming, which would be considered in some people's eyes a botch. But
Yep.
whatever.
Yep. Yeah, it is what it is. It's funny though. That's why you got to check out Devon's YouTube, folks. This is the sanitary version. You got to go if you want the real heat. You got to go over there for that because Devon's out there. calling out botches and saying things that might get me pulled off the air. So I got to stay out of that. I don't want. It's bad enough I'm calling out TKO and Triple H. I don't need the wrestlers beating me up on top of that. So I'm gonna stay away from that type of stuff.
Well, you got two guys that already want you, so.
I know, right? So I don't need more than that. I got enough problems. Anyway, speaking of problems, here's a funny one. Jack Swagger. Jake Hager is his name, but Jack Swagger, as you used to know him as, um, he is making a comeback in MMA, and he is actually taking equity out of his home in order to pay for his MMA return. What are your thoughts on that, man? I mean, I understand investing in your dreams and trying something out, but to actually take equity out of your biggest investment, your home, that's pretty extreme, don't you think?
Well, if he wants it bad enough and he doesn't have the finances, excuse me, to do it, then he's got to do the next best thing. I mean, it's an investment. It's you take the money from your home. It's like, to me, it's like, when you put your house up for collateral for something, that's what he's doing. He's putting his house up. And he
So
feels in his heart to hearts that he can repay that debt when the time comes to repay it.
so here's my question to you, because this gives me an idea. How about we put your car detailing business up for collateral, and we can finance you getting ready for Obafemi? I think that would be the way to go with this. You know what I'm saying? Because if you beat Oba, that's a big payday for you. So that'll be the motivation. But let's put one of your businesses up for sale. Well, for collateral, and let's get you back in the gym doing 3 days, because you're only doing 1 a days, and that ain't enough. We need to get you back to doing the 3 a days, and let's see what we can do for WrestleMania. Devon versus Oba, the final battle. What do you think about that?
I think Asia needs to stay away from your head and not hit you because you become very delusional. And some might even say punch drunk. But, that's just my personal opinion. Dirt sheets, do what you want to do with it. Have fun with it. But that's just my personal opinion. I think he's a little punch drunk. I think he's crazy. And
Oh my god!
maybe, just maybe, if she twisted something else on you, maybe leave the head alone. It'll give the head time to heal, and you'll be able to think correctly. Because right now, your thought process is all off.
You don't want it as bad as Jack Swagger. That's your problem. You know that, right? You don't want it as bad.
Hell no, I don't. I had 33 years. Jack's got a lot of years to catch up before he gets to me. He ain't at that stage. Jack can still go. Jack knees still can work. Jack's back still good. Devon's back isn't.
I would keep working on him, folks. Don't worry. Because listen, Trick Williams said he wants a career versus career match against Booker T. He wants to be the one to retire Booker T. So I say Devon versus Oba, career versus career. I think that's the way to go, man. Come on now.
Um, do you not realize that when Bound for Glory was done and over with, I said I was done and I wasn't coming back.
Yeah, we working on that.
I
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I know
We
you
working
are.
on that.
I know you are, but I'm working on a little magic myself here.
That's
I'm
right.
trying to make
That's
sure
right.
that I'm trying to make sure that Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and
Oh my
now
god.
Asia can all three of maybe it's a three-way dance. Let's get a three-way dance. All three.
Listen,
You know what the
I don't like
outcome's
where you're
gonna
going
be.
with this. I don't like where you're going with this. And I've gotten a report about this, that it's not a skit. Some people feel like this is not a skit. This is a setup. All right. You're really trying to get me hurt out here. So I just want to make sure the world knows I hear you, and I'm on it. Don't worry. I know what he's up to.
After what you said about TKO and Triple H, they might want the front row seats themselves and watch it.
That's they gonna book it right now.
They're gonna book it right now. That'll be the true main event of
They gonna,
SummerSlam this year.
that's right. That's it. We're gonna show him. Come here, boy. Come here. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I'll tell you, we're gonna get in so much trouble. Speaking of which, because you keep bringing him up, that egg sucking dog Cody Rhodes, uh,
Here
at
we go.
Fanatics Fest, at Fanatics Fest, he couldn't kick a field goal. He couldn't kick a soccer ball straight. Is Cody Rhodes the least athletic person to ever hold the WWE Championship? I mean, seriously, Devon, he can't do anything.
You are you are pushing it. You do know that you have time to redeem yourself.
I do. That's right. I'm gonna hide behind Roman since I can't hide behind you. That's right.
And you want see you start these wars, you put the gasoline on the fire, and then you want me to be the extinguisher to put it out. I can't do that.
That's right. Listen, I need you.
No, no.
I need you. Don't let me
Oh,
down. Come
now
on.
you need me. Oh, okay. Oh, look, now the truth comes out. Now you need
Don't,
me.
don't let me down.
Wow.
Okay.
That used to
I
be a
need you to have
song.
my back.
Don't Let Me
That's right.
Down. That was a song. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Don't Let Me Down. It'll come to me after the show is over. Then I'll bring it up next week and it won't mean anything.
Unreal. Unreal. Anyway, Cody Rhodes is the least athletic in the history of the WWE. He's proven it. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns got it all done. He could kick field goals. He can shoot baskets. You know, he could do it all. So Cody needs to take notes there. I'll say that. You know, uh,
Wow.
Bailey. What's up with Bailey, man? She got her. What is she? She punched Lyra Valkyra in the nose and broke it during a match. So I don't know if this is like a Becky Lynch situation, but what's up with Bailey busting noses now? What's that all about?
This is the first I'm hearing of it. So I didn't see it nor did I hear about it. This is the first I'm hearing about it since you brought it up. I didn't know.
She laid out that Lyra Valkyra on the ring apron and had her stretched out. So Lyra was on her back, and then
Wait a
Bailey
minute.
took
Who
her
did
hand.
this? Bailey
Bailey,
did it. Okay.
yeah, and she took her hand almost like when not a regular fist. She had her hand balled up in a fist, but she didn't hit her with her knuckles. She almost hit her like a palm strike, the way she like slapped her with it. But she busted that girl's nose open on that joint, boy. I said, "Oh, okay, okay,
How bad was
wow,
it?
that was bad enough." I mean, Lyra was able to finish the match, but you know how that goes. Nobody wants a broken nose because if you once you blow it out, your eyes bubble up and all that stuff. Nobody wants that. You know how it goes.
Mm,
Have you ever broken your nose?
I can't say that I have. Not to the point where it's been diagnosed as a break. Did I ever get
Got it.
punched in the nose real bad and blood came down? Yeah. But I don't feel that I have. And now because I've said that, it's gonna happen.
That's gonna happen now, boy.
I hate when people ask me those questions. I hate it. Somebody asked me something the other day. What did they ask me? It was something about the ring. And I told them, I said, normally I wouldn't answer that question. But being that I have no plan on getting back in the ring, I'm going to answer your question. It was something about either breaking or something happening. I can't remember what it was. But I was like, because I remember I said something to Bubba one time about the not wearing knee pads. I was like, why don't you wear knee pads? Damn it, Devon, shut up. Damn it. I was like, well, damn, I'm sorry, Bubba. He's like, now I'm going to be jinxed.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Don't even talk about it. That's how it goes. Wow. Uh, Breaking news: Vince McMahon is going into private arbitration. So the latest twist and turn in that Janelle Grant case is that she's agreed to go with Vince to the arbitrator, which means that this thing is finally going to be put to rest, and it'll just be a financial settlement. It was never a criminal case. It was always a civil case, which I think a lot of folks out there they overextended themselves with the way that they were talking nonsense out there. Um, it was just going to be a money situation, you know. Now, shame on Vince. Should have never been in this situation in the first place. I will say that. And outside of that, if you have an agreement, you should have paid the lady the little bit of money that he had on record. If you're going to go that far, instead of dragging it out into what we have here, where it cost him a lot more money. But in the end, that's all it's going to do. It's just going to cost him money. So a lot of people are speculating, Devon, that there is so much interest in Vince returning to WWE in some capacity. Do you think that's even a possibility if he's able to just settle this in arbitration and make this grant thing go away?
To me, I was told it's always because it's the shareholders. If they see it to be okay and it goes away, then maybe so. But I know a lot of people are interested in having Vince back. First they couldn't wait for him to get out of there. Now they want him back.
Yeah,
So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You're if you're unhappy, and you think somebody else is going to make you happy, then whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know. It all has to do with the shareholders. If they want him, if they want him to come back, if they
that's a
let him
tough one.
come back, yeah. If they think the heat is not there anymore,
I think there's been
that's the,
enough
the,
daylight. I think there's been enough daylight since the beginning where people, the shock and awe is over. Now that they realize this is not a criminal trial, he's not going to jail for anything. Um, I think that people are looking at where WWE is today and they're not necessarily happy. There is something missing. And I know we joke around about it, but I'm going to be honest with you, Devon. I don't think there's anyone in that company currently who is big enough to offset and help Cody Rhodes become a bigger star, get up to that next level, like that John Cena level. I don't think he has a foil that can drive him to that point and that can drive fan interest to that point. So what's happening is that whoever he feuds with, it always just feels like there's something missing. Like where's the rest of it? And I think that that's a mistake, and that's not just a performance issue. I think that also has to do with the writing and the creative direction. Maybe a Vince McMahon can bring some of that old school back and kind of right the ship enough to make it make sense. You know, do you think that's a possibility at his age?
that's the key. The key is his age. That's what bothers me about that situation. And I don't want him to get offended or think that I'm downing him because of his age. Again, what is he, 80 years old?
Yeah, I think he's more than that. He might be 82, 83 at this point.
Yeah, and when you get to that point in stage, it's very hard. It's very hard to, you know, you're gonna be out of touch with things.
Yeah,
You'll be out of touch. And
yeah.
I'm not saying that he's out of touch. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that I don't know if Vince has the mental mentality to continue to do what he's doing. I would love to see the old Vince McMahon come back and do what he used to do. But is he out of touch? And some people were saying that at the time he was there. They thought he lost touch. They thought he was out of his mind. He would say things that didn't make sense. I don't know. I don't know if that's the Vince that we would be looking for. I don't know. I don't know if the old Vince would be the one that we would, be able to say, okay, this is Vince. I don't know. I don't know. Is he still sharp as a tool? I hope. If he did come back, I hope. I hope it wouldn't be something to where, oh, I hate to say this. I hope it's not like a Biden thing, where we thought him running a second term was going to be good, and then we realized it wasn't. We had to get him out of there quick, and Carmella came in to step in, but of course she didn't get the job done. She didn't get the job done. But I'm hoping it's not something like that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Duke. If he did come back, I would want to see the old Vince back. I would want to see the Vince McMahon that really had the ideas and things like that, like he had during the Attitude Era, even like he did during the Ruthless Aggression Era. But some say that during the Ruthless Aggression Era, that Vince went into business for himself. In other words, he was there to entertain himself with some of the things we saw on there, and he did not do it for what was in the best interest of the fans. This is what was being said during that time. I remember through talent that was there, um, ex wrestlers from the 80s and 90s. They were saying that he was out of touch. So I hope that that wouldn't be the case if he did come back. I would pray and hope that he would be the Vince of old.
Well, there you have it, Vince. The ball is in your court, man. If you're going to come back, you better come back with that Coca-Cola Classic, because
I
New Coke
honestly,
Triple H.
I'm,
Uh oh.
yeah. I listen. I also feel that if you put Vince and Hunter together, and if they can get along, I'm not saying that they don't get along, but they can get along and really put their collective hats on and turn this whole thing around, man, the sky's the limit. Because Hunter has a great mind for this business as well.
I'll tell you how they get along. Triple H, you take orders and you do what Vince McMahon tell you to do, because
Oh boy, here we go.
you have never accomplished even a fraction of what he has. So when Vince McMahon steps in
What
the
are
room, you say
you
yes,
trying?
sir.
Oh,
You say yes, sir, Mr. McMahon. Okay, and you get done what he tells you to get done. That's how you young punk Triple H. That's how you get it done. That's 81
y-
years of experience walking into the room, Jack. Huh? I'll tell you. I'll tell you how you get
I'm
it
gonna
done.
start. Your new name is Jesse Ventura. I feel like I'm either Gorilla or Vince, and you're Heenan and Jesse, but more Jesse now.
Listen, just when you
That's
think everything
that's what
is
I
all right,
feel.
I come back with something. Just when you think everything is all right, I come back with something, boy. It's like, this
Oh,
guy.
I knew you were coming back with something. I just didn't know when and how and how you were gonna do it.
Oh my god, too much fun, man. Listen,
You
we'll
need
end
help.
on this one. We got a major stomach bug outbreak happening around the country. Uh, they can't figure it out. They think it might be iceberg lettuce, but there's a lot of misinformation coming from the Trump administration, unfortunately, because they have no evidence that they presented to support their hypothesis. Um, but people are getting sick for eating salad. So I know that you're a healthy guy, Devon. I know how you are and all that stuff. You may have to put the salad down and start picking up the candy bars or something, man, because we got a problem out there. You know,
Where is the outbreak now? For my, I heard it was all over, but now I heard it was just in Taco Bell, which is I didn't believe that. But what's the actual findings and where this parasite is running through rampant? Is it just the letters?
they can't figure it out. So here's what I know up to this point. Taco Bell found out that people were getting sick from something to do with fresh vegetables. They found out from one of their suppliers. So because of that, they contacted the Trump administration. They said, "Hey, there seems to be an issue out there. What are we doing?" And they were informed to sit on it. Don't say anything. We don't want to cause any mass hysteria or anything like that. Let's wait and figure this out. Well, Taco Bell was like, well, we can't wait. We have to be careful. We have to protect our business. More importantly, we got to protect our customers. So they took the steps. They took off cilantro and lettuce. They just removed those ingredients for their menu for the time being. They didn't make any announcement outside of that. They just did that. Well, that angered the administration. So suddenly, the administration claims that it's Taco Bell that's making everybody sick. And then they said lettuce from Taylor Farms tested positive. So it must be because they're a distributor, a supplier of lettuce to Taco Bell. So that must be what it is. Now listen, I love Taco Bell every now and then. It's a nostalgia thing for me. But I can tell you unequivocally, there's not that many people eating Taco Bell to make that many people sick around the country. Give me a break. Stop it right now. That's a hit job. They had to walk it back and admit that they don't know where it's coming from. And even the Taylor Farms positive test was a false positive. They have no idea. I think it's the water. I don't even think that it's just the vegetables, Devon. I think it's the way that they're washing. I think the water is contaminated, whether on purpose or not. Um, but we don't know where it's coming from, which means that all vegetables, you just got to cook them. Do not eat them raw. Stop ordering the cold salads, folks, if the vegetables weren't cooked, because you can't wash away this parasite. You literally have to heat it up to at least 140 degrees in order to kill it. So that's where we're at right now, as Devon's eating his salad right now for lunch. Um, so if you start
No, I had
losing
a
a lot of
protein
weight, you know
shake.
why. Oh yeah, of
I had
course.
a protein shake. It was Smoothie
But
King. So
did they blend up fresh kale or something like that? Did they blend up some fresh vegetables on there? Huh? Huh? Yeah.
no, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
I had, and then
But
anybody that knows Smoothie King, it's the Gladiator. I get a 44
oh yeah,
ounce
that's your
Gladiator.
favorite. Yeah, that's your favorite.
Yes,
And
it
you
is.
all you put in all these different vitamins and minerals. You're a whole science experiment over there. I'll tell you, boy. My
Listen,
God.
as the show was going on, I was doing it. I just didn't let you hear it. I know you would bring
No,
it
I
up.
know. I heard you last week when we had Asia on. You were sipping on that smoothie king. I could hear you, bro. Don't try to. You ain't
Oh, it
hiding
was
nothing from
good.
nobody.
Oh, it was real good.
We know what you got going on. But it's interesting though. As a father, you hear about stuff like this. As a parent, how do you react to that? Do you ride it out, or do you make adjustments in what you're preparing and stuff like that? Like, what do you do, Devon?
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, we know that fresh vegetables, raw vegetables, are causing people to contract this thing. We know that to be a fact. So when you go to the grocery store next, how are you making any adjustments to your shopping? Do you normally just cook your vegetables anyway, or do you serve raw vegetables like a fresh salad or something like that?
No, no, no. I haven't eaten salad since I heard about this. So I'm trying
Oh,
to wait, and it's killing me because I like to add in like plant-based meatballs, plant-based beef and steak into my
wow,
salad, uh,
wow,
and things like that to give it that flavor and that taste. Of course, with the croutons and the little chips that go in your salad. So I like doing that, but I haven't had it and since all of this has been going on, and I miss it. And I went and bought all of these plant-based meat, and I can't eat it because I need to eat it with it or eat it with something else. Maybe I just make the steak and just eat it with a baked potato or something.
wow. That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough to do the right thing when things like this are so far outside of our control. We have to wait it out, wait for the FDA or whoever to explain to us when everything is cool again. But I noticed it at the grocery store this past weekend. People aren't buying that stuff, man, because they're afraid, and rightfully so. Who the hell wants to get this thing? Makes all the liquid come out of every part of your body, and you know what I'm saying. You
So in
know what
other
I'm
words,
saying.
you're pooping like Shrek, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, pretty
My
much,
daughter got a kick
pretty
out of
much.
that.
I bet she did. I bet she did. And it's the dehydration that's the problem, though. When you're losing that many fluids so quickly, you could pass out because you don't have enough nutrients and enough fluids. So it's a pretty scary thing, man.
You know what's crazy? And this was a couple of years ago. I had heard this. People were actually taking tapeworms and eating them, swallowing them, so they would be able to
Yeah,
lose weight.
yeah, yeah, yeah. bodybuilders and fitness models are known for doing that kind of stuff. Even supermodels are known for doing that.
That's
Yeah,
insane. There's
yeah,
no
it is.
way.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
reason why I
yeah.
bring that up, because it's totally off the subject, but I brought it up because you said the diarrhea, the dehydration, and if you see Devon looking skinny, because again, that tapeworm will eat so much, will tear you apart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't play with that stuff, folks. Please, please don't play with that stuff. Be safe.
They lay
That's
eggs
all
and
I
they
can say
think
to
they
that.
got the one that they put in you. They lay eggs
Yeah,
and they get the one that they originally put in you. Then they forget about the other eggs, and then they hatch, and you wonder why you still get losing weight and you're sick and you're run down and all your energy's gone. Yeah, not good, brother.
not good at all. Not good at all. But be safe out there, folks. Please, we beg of you, be safe. We don't want anybody to get hurt. Real quick, before we wrap it up, they discovered a planet 124 light years away. So they were looking through the James Webb Telescope and they saw this planet K2-18b. And this planet has all the markings that have convinced our scientists that there's life on that planet. So,
Hmm.
Devon Dudley, I am going to book you in a match on K2-18b. You're going to take on whoever their decorated champion is out there. It may be a version of you. It just may be bigger and stronger. You never know. Um, but how do you feel about that? To know that there's life out there. We don't know what form of life, but there's life out there outside of Earth.
I think you got to be crazy to think that we're the only ones out here. I'm sorry. I've
Yeah,
never believed that. I've never
yeah,
believed just because, and we're not the aliens. I mean, they're not the aliens. We're the aliens.
yeah,
Especially if we
yeah.
sitting up here thinking we're the only ones out here. You
Yeah.
cannot, you can't think that. You know, you can't think that. There's no way we're the only beings out here. There's something somewhere. Who's to say that a billion light years away, the new heaven is created, like the Bible says? Because there is going to be a
Wow,
new heaven.
wow,
There is going to, God is creating a new heaven, a new paradise for everybody to go to. So the
wow,
heaven that we think, you're living on top of a cloud. No, 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 no. There's going to be another place where everything will be right the way He originally wanted it to be.
wow,
The garden, everything. We don't have to worry about no pesticides, no more hurt, no more sorrow, no more nothing. I firmly believe that, and I know that to be true. To be a God fearing man. I was just explaining to my daughter today because she asked me about Jesus, and him. Did he die, and where is he? And I sat there and had a conversation right before we went into the gym because I want her to know. I want to know the truth, and don't ever listen to people
good.
that say Jesus is dead because he ain't a dead. He's more alive than you know. Well, when I
Mhm.
pray to him, he don't help me. Number one, you don't know how to pray. That's number one. Number two, you don't have faith. And number three, you don't take the time to be patient. Everybody wants instant gratification. It's like the microwave generation, I like to call them. They want to put it in the microwave and in a minute it's hot. How about back in the day when we used to have to turn on the oven, wait for about 5 or 10 minutes, then put the food on a plate, then wait another 10 or 15 minutes before so the food could heat up.
Well said. Well said. Look at the Reverend Devon has returned, Jack. All right. My God. So what's the best way everyone can keep up with you, Devon? Because these kind of sermons and insights and what have you, I know that you spread them around. You always have some great bookings coming up. So how can everybody keep up with you?
All right, well, they can follow me on my Instagram, Testify Devon. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Testify Devon. You can also hit me up on my Devon Dudley merch page on Instagram. I'm actually going to drop off a order now, and get it to one of the great fans out there that wanted a hat and a shirt. I actually have new merchandise coming out that just came to my house with Dudley stuff and memorabilia and all of that. So it's going to be really cool. And you can reach me there. And I'm also going to bring, I'm sorry, you can also catch me on my YouTube channel, which again, Devon Dudley YouTube. Check it out and enjoy the content. Like and subscribe, and leave your questions down below. I think you will enjoy the channel. And I will say
That's right.
this, and I want to say this as well. Some people, they love gossip. They love the juiciness of everything. And I did a show about the recent actions of what happened with Bubba and Batista and Randy. And a lot of them pretty much, was like, "Oh, well, he's beating around the bush and this and that. He's gonna be a great politician." Listen, understand this, guys. And Dirt Sheet, please put this out there. I'm not there to entertain you. I'm not there to give you the gossip, juicy detail. I'm going to tell you what I feel I should tell you and what you should know. Just be glad that what I'm saying is the little bit of knowledge that you're getting. You don't have to be all up in the wrestler's business. You're not putting money in their pocket by me telling you the ins and outs and what's going on. If you don't want to watch the show, then don't watch it. Go somewhere else. But don't get on me because I didn't say anything negative about the three men or say that they got into a fist fight or anything like that. Don't get mad at me because I'm not giving you something that you can go from wherever you heard it from to another um, dirt sheet or what have you and talk crap. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you what I feel happened and what I would like to see out of it. Nobody wants to see an ongoing feud with these three men. I hated that Batista and Bubba, don't care for each other. I am happy that Bubba and Randy, somewhat made up. And I know that for a fact. I spoke to Randy a couple of times and said, he squashed it with Bubba. It is what it is. I'm hoping one day Batista can do the same, him and Bubba. So forgive me for trying to do the right thing and get these guys to be good, as opposed to you turning on your phone and seeing, oh, well, Bubba hates Batista, Batista hates Bubba, and blah, blah, blah. And Devon is not saying what he should say. I ain't got to say I ain't got to say a damn thing to you. I ain't got to prove nothing to you. Just like the whole thing with the JR. When this whole question came up about racism the first time, because I refused to say the name, a lot of people got angry and mad. Well, who is it? If you're not going to say anything, then just keep your mouth shut. I said what I said because the question again was asked. I ain't got to prove nothing to you. If you don't want to listen, don't listen. Go about your way. But don't get on me because I'm not telling you exactly who it is at that particular point in time. You can go to hell for all I care.
Whew. Tell him. And for the record, that Jr. He can't help himself. I just saw a clip of one of his recent episodes where he said Jeff Jarrett screwed him over on something. I didn't even want to listen to the rest of it because it just it you want to complain about Devon Dudley expressing himself and talking about the experiences that he had, including with you, Jim Ross, and yet here you are once again burying somebody. I'm just going to point that out there. I'm not trying to listen. I know JR's health is not the best right now, and I'm not trying to kick anybody while they're down, but I am pointing out a very important fact. That double standard bullcrap needs to go away. You can't be out there talking crazy about other people and not expect somebody to talk about their experiences with you. Okay? And I'll leave that at that. My goodness. Um, Duke Loves Rasslin on Facebook, on X, Duke Loves Rasslin at gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show. Really special situation happening. In fact, by the time you folks hear this episode, it would have already happened. We are doing a dedication to the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty, who recently passed away. At the Boston City Council, we are honoring Pete Doherty. And in fact, the Dorchester Reporter is doing a special article about Pete. We have his family showing up at the council, and Pete's going to officially be honored with the tribute documents, the highest honor you can get as a deceased constituent. So it's something that I worked on with Boston City Councilor John Fitzgerald and his wonderful team. Uh, Pete Doherty, Duke of Dorchester, he took time to be on Duke Loves Rasslin over 9 years ago. It was a special interview back then. I re-aired that last week. Got in touch with his family recently once he passed away, and we put all this stuff together. So, we got to honor our legends. And I'll say this to WWE, you're going to be in Boston in a couple of weeks. It would be terrible for you not to do a 10-bell salute to the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty, considering how much he gave to the WWE. He was an enhancement talent that was loved. He was so good on the mic that you even had him be a commentator, especially for the Boston Garden shows. It would be a travesty to not honor that man properly when you're back in his hometown. You know what I mean? But no, nonetheless, we're not waiting on anybody else. We put it together. We're honoring Pete. So, Devon, we'll talk about that more next week. But the special article, I'll send it to you. It's going to be fantastic. We have to honor our legends. That's the way it's supposed to be. So, I don't know. Do you remember the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty, Devon? Do you remember that guy with the missing tooth and the blonde hair and all that? He was loud and
Yeah, I
brash
do
and
remember
funny.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I used to
yeah.
get him confused with Outback Jack a little bit because of the missing tooth when I was
Got it.
younger.
Got it.
But yes,
Got
I
it.
do remember him.
Great guy, man. Like as a human being, really just a really really nice guy, fun loving guy. So we're honoring him as a result of his passing. And again, his family, Linda and the whole crew, they're great people. It's really cool. But you know, I'll end on this. You have to lead with your values. One thing about Devon Dudley, he always leads with his values. He doesn't hide the fact that he is a child of God, that he loves his family, that he cares about all of the communities that he belongs to. Um, Same thing on my end here. I lead with my values. I advocate for others. I respect my elders. I respect the history and the people that created it for us. And I try to pass down as much knowledge to the next generation as possible. Lead with your values. Do not be part of the problem, be part of the solution, folks. And especially when you're in control of something, lead with your values. Just like Devon does with his DDA, where he's featuring women and LGBTQ plus and people of color and white people and everything. Lead with your values, especially when you're in charge. So WWE, I'm calling on you. You make sure you're leading with your values, because if not, I'm gonna call you out every time. Anyway, word of the week. You got anything for us, brother?
I think you did it for us. I think you said it.
Yeah.
You took everything out, and that was it. There's no. How can I top that?
Well, you could
You're
say
the one on fire,
Cody Rhodes, you egg sucking dog. I better not catch you in my city.
Duke. You egg sucking. You better. Cody Rhodes better not ever catch you drinking a Pepsi or wearing a tailor-made suit. That's all I'm gonna say.
Testify.
Testify.
Visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca.
Backstage whispers and the crowds roar. From matching giants to legends of yore. Devon's wisdom and Duke's keen view. Every episode feels like it's brand new. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you Wrestling podcast never fails.